Lights shine them bright, gonna have a brand new show tonight. With glitz and glam on the marquee, perhaps a Tony nominee. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. Sell out nightly, SRO. It's time to applaud the Broadway Beat. Stars beam brightly, see them glow. In the sunlight of a show. Life is sweet on the world's most famous street.
Tickets, please.
Take a seat.
Cue the band.
And have your feet to the rhythm of the Broadway Beat. The Broadway Beat. Broadway Beat.
Hello, I'm Richard Ridge, and welcome to Broadway Beat, our half-hour look at the very best of the New York theater on Broadway and beyond. This week we take you behind the scenes and into the rehearsal room for two new shows getting ready to hit the boards. We'll drop by Primary Stages' new musical, Adrift in Macao, which is a throwback to the glorious film noirs. It opens on February 13th. We'll chat with the creators, Christopher Durang, Peter Melnick, and the cast led by Rachel DeBenedette and Alan Campbell. But let's start things off at the first day of rehearsal for the Broadway-bound revival of R.C. Sheriff's World War I play entitled Journey's End, which will open at the Belasco Theater on February 22nd. It is being directed by David Grinley, who helmed the highly successful 2004 London production. We spoke with the cast led by film star Hugh Dancy, three-time Tony Award winner Boyd Gaines, newcomer Stark Sands, and Tony Award winner Jefferson Mays about the journey they're about to take in Journey's End.
I think it's about the fact that it's real people. I mean, it's real men in extraordinary circumstances, and it's about for an audience, particularly in the context, the political context we're in at the moment, recognising what this band of brothers go through and the circumstances that they find themselves in, and how their relationships are forged, and it's basically what's fascinating about this play and why it works so well today is that it's a human drama, and that's the fundamental thing. It's not an anti-war play. It's not banging the drum against the war. It's a human drama which is made even more poignant and significant because the war's a backdrop. And I think what's really striking to a modern audience is they see the pressure that those sort of people go under, and they see the relationships that are forged, and they bring a real understanding of what it's like to be in any war zone at any time, and what these guys have to go through. So it's that's what makes it work so well. But fundamentally, it's because it's at the background. It's a story that grabs the attention, and the audience make the leap by recognising every moment that, gosh, they're in a war. At any moment, if these guys don't resolve this argument, one of them leaves, they may never come through that door again, because at any time they leave the dugout, they're in the line of fire. And I think that added, the stakes being so high that makes it work so well.
I play Osborne, who is also known as Uncle, and he's the kind of he's a father confessor in a certain way to the others, and a caretaker. He's the one who always listens and who always looks for the best in the others. And he's a schoolmaster from a public school, which is English private school, and is in a way perhaps the most humane character. He really is there to take care of the boys, to help them survive in any way that they are able to, and goes down trying.
That whole history you're going to have with playing in an old, beautiful theater, an old chestnut piece. Indeed. It's what actors dream of.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, my wife was at the Lyceum, so I'm just moving over a block to the Belasco, but it is the most gorgeous theater, and I think perfect for this.
Well, talk about the role you play.
I play Mason, who is the officer's cook. He's a private, and he sort of leads from behind. He makes sure they're well fed and provides some East End deadpan humor to keep things moving along. But it's a lovely role. I don't think I will be able to be in my dressing room at all. I think I have to sort of lurk in the wings and then come on for a page and then go off and come on again, bearing plates of sardines and bacon and a pink blancmange. He's a Cockney, and it's wonderful to play one role.
My character's name is Raleigh, and he's an 18-year-old kid fresh out of high school who has been looking forward to the war ever since it started 4 years earlier. He wasn't old enough to join at the beginning, but his hero, Stanhope, who's played by Hugh Dancy, was. And Hugh left, and for 3 years, Raleigh has been just itching to get out there and fight next to his best, in his mind, what could be his best friend, the guy who was the captain of the rugby team and the captain of the cricket team and the guy everyone looked up to. What attracted me to the role is that when I read it, it reminded me of the way that I was when I was a kid and when I was a freshman in high school, because I certainly had people that I looked up to and that I wanted to be like. And if they ever, passing through me in the hall, said, "Hey, what's up, man? How you doing?" It made my world. And I know that that's a theme that obviously is not just specific to any one time period, because this play takes place in 1918, and I really related to that. So what happens is Raleigh not only gets to go to war, but he actually gets assigned to the same company as his childhood hero, and it is exciting for Raleigh, but it's sort of disastrous in Stanhope's mind, because over the years, coping with the war, he's changed and hit the bottle really hard and become a different person. He's still heroic and he's still got all those qualities, but he looks at himself and is disappointed in the person that he is and what he has to do just to get through the war, because he's terrified. And there's only a few options you have of dealing with it, and he's chosen alcohol. So Raleigh, of course, doesn't know this. So when he shows up, he expects to see his hero, that nothing's going to change, and we're going to go right back to the way it was, except this time we're going to be, right up there together, fighting side by side, and that's just not what happens. Dennis Stanhope is a 21-year-old product of what you would call the private school system in Britain, and a very classic example of the upstanding, successful young pupil. He's been captain of every sport there is, and so on and so forth. He's been at this stage, 1918. He's been in the front line, or at least been in war for 3 years, and he is a different man altogether. He's responsible for a company of men. He is deeply aware of the fact that he can't continue for much longer, and the only way he is continuing is through really drinking a bottle of whiskey every day. I don't think that experience was unique to him at this time by any standards, But he's particularly aware of his own what he feels to be his own weaknesses. And in the course of the play, that comes to a crux when a young boy who was in the same school as him, was always looked up to him, arrives, and my character Stanhope is very afraid that the true state that he's in is going to be reported back home, not least to his fiancée, this young man's sister, and blow all his chances of returning to the person he once used to be.
Why do you think the play is so relevant now in 2006?
I think because of the quality of the writing, first of all. I mean, there are many plays written about war, written about specific wars that wouldn't translate now, but there are qualities that you see in these young men's experiences as Sheriff wrote them that are still true. The comradeship, the reliance that they have, the humour that they use to get through, but also the terrible changes that are wrought upon them, upon their innocence, by the experience of turning up to become involved in a war which they didn't, to an experience which they could not have fully anticipated, and the horrors of that experience. And that's true of any war. You could say that it's, by 1918 the reasons for this war had become very misty. Unlike the Second World War, which the moral imperative was there from start to finish, the war that we when I say we, I mean that our respective countries are involved in, you could also argue that the particular mission is becoming harder and harder to define, and I think that it's fair to make the parallels.
murder mystery. Oh, what could be more delightful than a classic case of who in heaven's name done it? A lunatic unloosed, a fiend unfettered, a maniac unmanacled. Victim and suspects all trapped together under the same roof, the vital clue in full view, and the ever-present question, who? Well, of course, in all murder mysteries, we require a corpus delicti, that is to say, a body. So apparently this one will have to do. So let us travel back in time to where it all began. Late one night, here, in this same recording studio.
What do you think is easier? This? Does anyone know why we're waiting for this?
I know you're going to kill me, but I need 10 or 15 more takes from each and every one of you.
What?
Right?
You're kidding.
No, I'm sorry, but we got to get out.
What was wrong with the last one I did? Rupert, come on. What time is it? No, happy workers. Yes. Let's whistle while we work.
Thank you. Yeah.
Benny and I ain't
blessed luck to stay. Don't try to think what move might be the best. Use the heart that beats within your breast. Never rest. Don't quit while you're ahead. Sing up, there's more in store for me. I see my dream ship finally coming in like a steamship. Coming in to win, lift your chin. Don't quit while you're ahead. Remember what I said. Listen, I know there must be love that yet be heaven sent, meant for only me, hopefully. Don't quit while you're ahead. Hold on to the dream of it.
Here's my chance, one daydream that is mine, a romance, just ripe upon the vine, turns to wine. Don't quit while you're ahead, hold on to what you want instead. And well, I know, don't let the moment go to waste, not with love that's close enough to taste. Think of every fear you face, or not someday. Some rays escape. You struck the lucky vein, never break through any lucky chain or refrain. Don't quit while you're ahead. Don't quit while you're ahead. Make hurry, hurrah. Boom. Hang it back in hooray, hurrah. Boom. Hang it back in la-di-da. Don't quit while you're ahead. Sing, I'm sure there's more for me. La-la-da-dee. Boom. Hang it back in la-di-dee. Boom. Hang it back in glory-dee. Don't quit while you're ahead. I'm sure there's so much more in store for you and me. Boom. Hang it back to la-di-dee. Boom. Hang it back to glory-dee. Don't quit while you're ahead. I'm sure there's so much more in store for you and me.
One moment, please. Well, there you have it. The victim, the suspects. It only remains for you to guess who done it.
One of this season's most highly anticipated new musicals is Adrift in Macao, which is being presented by Primary Stages at their beautiful theater located at 59 East 59th Street. It opens on February 13th. The musical has book and lyrics by Christopher Durang and music by Peter Melnick. Now, from the opium dens of China to the low-life bars of New York City, Adrift in Macao is a musical madcap parody of the glamorous film noirs. It stars Rachel de Benedette as Lorena, a nightclub singer with a past, and Alan Campbell as leading man Mitch, who for some mysterious reason can't go home. Here is the company of Adrift in Macao.
Wishing and wanting while we wonder why our dreams never fail. We're just scraping by, distrustful and wary. We know things don't last. We're adrift in Macao, and time don't move fast.
Future's unsure.
We don't feel at ease, like rats in a trap, like mice eating cheese. Seems hopeless and bleak. Can't get what we seek. We feel cheat and instinct. In a word, we're confused. Afraid to wait, for they don't know what not waiting.
It's quite existential.
A word we don't know. We're adrift in Macao, adrift in Macao.
Time's moving
Tick
slow.
tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tick tock, tock, tock. Time's How we are now is adrift in Macao.
My father is a wonderful film producer who's produced for many years. All That Jazz is one of my favorite films ever, and he produced that. And the other side of my family is musical theater. So I kind of this musical is kind of the perfect musical for me to write. It's a melding of the two.
So talk about the challenges for you with writing this and what have been the biggest joys.
The challenge is what there is anytime you sit down to write a song, which is to do the best you can. When you have great lyrics and when you have a great collaborator, you don't notice the challenge because it's really fun. I mean, rewrites are always harder than writing, but there are lyrics that Chris has sent me, and I look at it and I think, this is just too much fun. And I sit down and they're very easy to work on. The joy is the whole thing. I mean, A Day Like Today it's a little scary because I really hope you all like it, but it's also, we've got such wonderful people. It's come together so well. We had a production at Vassar, then a production in Philadelphia, and we've learned from the show at every stop. And if there were some rough edges still at Vassar, we took it further. I feel now like we have a show I can feel really good about. So that's the joy.
Challenges are that with Chris's material, you have to be somewhat based in reality, but yet you have to send it up a little bit. So it's always walking that tightrope of how do we do this? And that's really been the only challenge. I have to say it has been, I know this sounds really phony, but it's been so terrific from day one. And I have learned so much about comedy, about being true to oneself as an artist. We were told that this song wouldn't work or this scene wouldn't work. And Chris has been around for such a long time. He says, no, let's trust it. Let's trust it. And we did. And so it was kind of the perfect induction back into the business for me, so, and this cast, we're so lucky to have this cast. They've taught me so much, and everybody, it's just, I know, it sounds like I wish I could give you more dirt.
Well, if you don't mind, I'll tell the story of what I actually said to him, because sometimes I like old-fashioned musicals, and sometimes I've been approached by composers whose sound is more modern than I personally like, and so I thought I'd save myself some time and said to him, well, sure, I'd be happy to listen to music, but I should warn you that I have old-fashioned tastes, and I like Rodgers and Hammerstein and George Gershwin and Jerome Kern and Rodgers and Hart, and Peter at that point said, well, I feel it would be foolish of me not to tell you that I'm actually Richard Rodgers' other grandson, which certainly made me laugh. And I said, oh, well, then I guess I will definitely meet with you. And then I really liked his music when I heard it. And one of the songs that he had written for an independent movie was called, oh, God, I've forgotten the name of it. But it was a very beautiful song called, it was very smoky and full of longing. And it reminded me of these old Hollywood movies that are set in nightclubs and have all this sort of longing and ambiance of tough guys and tough women who are vulnerable underneath, and I'm just fond of those old kind of movies. And so I started with this idea of a woman showing up in China with only the evening gown on her back. She has no other clothes, and actually that's for film buffs, it's a reference to a non-film noir called Midnight with Claudette Colbert, where that happens to her. And so, but this was in the sort of film noir world, and I wrote these lyrics for the song called "In a Foreign City in a Slinky Dress," and I handed them to Peter, and I liked how he set them, and then we just started writing, and then what was going to be a half-hour musical kept growing, and I kept having other song ideas, and now it's a 90-minute musical. So that's how it came about. Really, Peter contacting me.
Lousy luck with fellas, so I'm giving up on men. Better let go, give up and get out. That's the theory of my song. So goodbye and good riddance, farewell and so long. I'm wiped up and I'm wired, men are pigs, it's sad but true. You can't have romance with a pig. Use your brain and think it through. So follow my example, ladies. Time to walk away. With a man, there's no solution. They're dumb apes, pre-evolution. I'm grouchy but hopeful. Standing on my own. I'm bitter, but I'm happy. I'll be better off alone. So to all the men who've left me, well, I dedicate this song. So goodbye and good riddance, farewell and so long. So hooray, hallelujah, 'cause I'm moving right along. So goodbye and good riddance, farewell.
Lorena is a really interesting role. She was a tough nut to crack at first because you think she's going to be the dumb blonde or the femme fatale, and she's neither. She's like the good egg, kind of, the wised up gal who's been around but who's a survivor. And that's the interesting part about her and some of the film noir heroines, that they're survivors and nothing really shatters them. She's moving around from port to port in China and in Asia, and she's had all of her money stolen, and she only has this one dress, and she shows up on the docks in Macao in one dress, and she has to wear it for the entire show because it's all she has. But she's tough in that sort of Jane Russell kind of way, that Jane Russell would get interested in somebody, but her heart was never really broken. So she's a fascinating character to kind of peel away the layers, and yet while you're working on Durang, you can't go too naturalistic with anything either. So it's a great balancing act. It's a lot of fun.
First of all, it's Chris Durang, who I'm a huge fan of, and it's a Chris Durang musical, which even more appealed to me. Peter Melnick's music, I heard it a little bit ahead of time, and I am a huge fan of film noir. I have a collection. In fact, I brought it in for everybody to kind of take home with it. I love old film noir films, and so I thought, I love this period. I love these guys, and I think more because I'm not one. I'm like a modern kind of, I've been home for 8 or 9 months while my wife's been in Spamalot raising our 2.5-year-old. Which one of these guys would never do? Change a diaper? Me? So
I love the challenge of playing like this all-American like 50s guy.
This role that I play, Karina, she is an opium-addicted nightclub singer. And it's just, in the world of Durang, it is just wacky, wacky, beyond belief. And the great thing about her is she never actually gets her opium. When you really pay attention to the scenes, she's just always in search of and can't seem to get that, that thing going. And there's a nice jealousy with Lorena, who comes in and is trying to take her light. So we have a number called Mambo Malaysia that I won't tell you too much about that is off the hook. It is so funny. And this group, incredibly talented. Christopher Durang is one of the nicest, most accessible people I think I've ever met. He's just wonderful.
Well, his name is Tempura because he's been battered by life. And actually, I think in the audition, when I read that line, I'm like, I know who this character is. And it was just fantastic to have. It's almost a dream role for me to be able to do what I do. I'm a character guy, growing into the characters that that I play, and to have this written and just be totally in sync with it and kind of get it and get his style of comedy is just amazing and a dream.
Oh, it's been great. And, it is kind of like an overwhelming experience because watching rehearsals is just a laugh a minute. And I was saying to Cheryl the other day, I saw the run-through, Cheryl, the director, and I said, my face is hurting so much because I've been laughing so hard. And and the company is a great company, and everybody is such a wonderful group of collaborators to work with. So, it's just been a wonderful room to have, and the commitment of everybody has just been great. So yeah, it's like having your own party, on stage every night. It's great.